Which right back, Charlie? Definitely.
There's always just that active red back defending. I think it's like. There's always just that active red back defending. I think it's like. There's always just that active red back defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on. Are we live? Of course we're live. People deluded, I'm back again. As usual, appreciative to all of you lot tuned in. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. Obviously, the sentiment regarding Arsenal Football Club, as has been the case for the last few weeks, has been a bit negative. Long story short, anytime Arsenal do not get a win, it's crisis. So you can imagine with our latest run of fixtures in all competitions what it's been. But nonetheless, people, we're still here, people. Appreciative to you lot on Twitch and on Twitter, as well as YouTube. Again, make sure you're following on all platforms. Make sure you're smashing the like button. And as we know, it's January. Again, I would say the rumours have kind of died down a bit. It started off, Douglas, Luiz, Zubamendi, this guy, that guy, the other. We all know we're not signing these guys. Smash the like button if you're on YouTube. And now it seems like it's, Onana from Everton. Whether we have the finances to get that done, I don't know. 1 minute we haven't got any money and we're working with a limited budget due to FFP. The next minute we haven't. I personally believe there is an admiration for Onana because we was looking at him at Lille. Last season, he gave a great audition in front of Mikel Arteta when we lost at Everton away. And obviously, he's 22 odd, 6 foot plus, high technical level, addresses an area in midfield that we like. I don't think him and Declan Rice together will be a long-term partnership. But if you could have Declan Rice, Onana, and two decent number 8s, as well as having the Havertz and Smith Rowes and the Fabio Vieiras and all these guys, we've got the best of both worlds, people. So yeah, I hope you're all doing well and safe. I hope everyone's in good spirits. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe if you haven't. Any talking points, get them in. We've also been linked with Pedri of Barcelona, people. I think we'd all love Pedri, but you got more chance of signing him in Football Manager. We all know we need defensive reinforcements. Appreciate you, Gary, for your comment. You said Spinazzola is a top quality fullback. I've always been impressed with him, especially at international level. He's a proper fullback who can defend, good vision, passing ability, and very quick. Can play left back and right back as well. I think he's got 6 months left on his current deal at his current club, so maybe that's where it's coming from. If there's a cut price still to be done, why not? He is fairly experienced and he would help plug a gap. I don't know if he would, and he's actually done well to come back from a big injury. I don't really buy any rumors with any players that link us with players out of Italy, despite the fact we did sign Tomiyasu and Kirill, but we've been burnt with Locatelli and Vlahovic and all of these sorts of guys. So I think we need defensive bodies. I don't know what the priority is, but for Mikel Arteta, but I think everything, man, is of equal priority, really. I think we need a striker. Do I think we're getting a striker in January? Probably not, but a striker. Evidently, Saka and Martinelli, it's a mixture of burnout, over reliance, overplaying them, playing them into the ground. Probably both players need to just be able to breathe mentally. While we're doing this youngster thing and this project, and it's great in terms of where Arteta, when he walked in the door till now, if we're looking at winning a Premier League title, I think it's a burden too high for Saka to carry. And I think it's quite disgraceful, really and truly, if I'm completely honest with you, because, we're looking at Saka to be Mo Salah. Obviously, Saka is developing, but he's, Salah can carry the weight on his shoulders. And for a large period of the last couple of years, week in, week out, Saka has been the guy. Whether we ran him into the ground, whether he's overplayed and, or a bit of out of form, I don't know, but it's not really fair, man. I think we need to get a wide man in, Again, Pedro Neto would have been the guy in the summer. We did try allegedly to get Rafinha. And I'm more going to include this in another vid, but I was deep in it, yeah. What attacker is Aubameyang? What attacker has Arteta brought in that's banged at this club, if any? He's taken Saka to the new next level. Fair enough. You've taken Martinelli. Fair enough. Trossard's been all right. I wouldn't say he's not banged. He's been a good player. But, like, what attacking player has Arteta signed that we're like, wow, really and truly? So, yeah, we need a striker. evidently a winger would be great. I can't be the only one, and there's a running joke with big up you lot have been supporting my content for years. Every season I'm talking about central midfield. You know, while I'm I just said attack and out wide, and we can talk about defense. Midfield is where there's more questions than answers. You know, Declan Rice provides a lot of positive questions. How good can he be if you get another number 6, or if Partey's fit? You know, what other sides of Declan Rice's game will you see? Other than that, you know, Havertz has found his feet of sorts in the left-hand side. Is that the long-term option? I don't know. Smith Rowe hasn't been given an opportunity there, and I don't know if he'll be here long-term. Fabio Vieira will put in 3 to 5 great games, and he kind of reverts back to type. Declan Rice is the only one that there's confirmation over. I like Jorginho, but the game conditions have to be right. Jorginho isn't a man, unfortunately, where you can bet on for 10, 20 of the 38 Premier League games. El Nene, good lad, but should not be here. Who else is there? So yeah, midfield, there's more questions than answers, if I'm completely honest with you. And Arteta's going to have to face the music. You spent 65 million on Havertz, and I don't really like making Kai Havertz the talking point, especially because he should have scored against Liverpool, but I don't think he should be the scapegoat or anything. But if we was quote unquote working with a limited budget, then you're messing up the resources, really. You know, Kai Havertz at this moment in time has fitted in well, but he's not taking it to the next level, in which if you signed the number 8 to go with Declan Rice, our midfield would be bloody fantastic. And then it's just a case of finding depth and all of those things. And evidently, you know, we're playing a dangerous game defensively. I think, you know, between Kyrgios and Zinchenko, it's the lesser of two evils at left back. Centre half, God forbid anything happens to Gabriel Saliba, we're in issues. Benjamin White's fallen off a cliff. Anything happens to Benjamin White, there's issues. Obviously, we've seen the same things. I love Tomiyasu. I'm not surprised if you get injured. The same would be said for Kieran Tierney when he was here. And you could extend that going back to midfield with Thomas Partey. So I wouldn't quite know what the priority is. I think they're all of equal priorities, if I'm completely honest. And do I think we'll get them all? Who knows, people? But I'm very pessimistic, man. Play some new blood would be nice, Nick, man. Am I the only one that starts rapping over DG's intro? Appreciate that. And we're back again, Gary, of course, man. Hang around like a bad smell. Can we stop signing defenders and get a winger? We have signed so many defenders recently. Jen, I hear you. And I would say we probably, well, to be fair, football is won or lost in the final and defensive third, and we haven't been defending well, and evidently we haven't got our shooting boots. I do hear you, but I'm not saying you necessarily, but I do think because of how our club operates, Arsenal fans, we get into this trap of, you know, like I said, there's several areas we need to address. We all kind of focus on one. You go back to when we signed Thomas Partey, we needed a 6 and an 8, not either or, we needed both. Logically, you know, some fans would say, I'd rather an 8, I'd rather a 6. I think we're in a dangerous territory. And as I said, I think Arteta and Edu, the same way I applaud you for how you've assembled the squad and got new contracts and when signings have worked, you lot have spunked the money, really and truly. You lot have got yourselves into this position where, quote unquote, we're treading close to FFP. Money's been spent. Whether you've budgeted correctly, whether you've been naive with the planning of the squad and the durability of certain players and the ability to get the goals and defend to a certain level, anything good or bad that happens, you can't sit here, in my opinion, and blame the owners anymore, really and truly. Yes, it wasn't. Do I think Kroenkes are the most amazing owners? 100% I don't. But definitely from when they came into this club to the last few years to now, I think they've improved their image. And it's clear to see they put people in place, especially with a young manager, and they can't not leave you to your own devices, but they're not quite hands-on. You lot are spunking the piece, really and truly. They didn't tell you to give Aubameyang a new deal and then rip it up. They did not tell you to do several things. They didn't tell you to spend X amount of money on Kai Havertz. They didn't tell you to get Willian on a free. They didn't tell you to find these expensive stopgaps in Cedric, Pablo Marie, and things like that. You know, again, and for Mikel Arteta, I do think in the last 18 months, you know, last summer's 2023 summer recruitment and summer 2022, I think that was the time where Mikel Arteta's success rate has been better. Like I mentioned, attackers, you signed Jesus, you've been brilliant. Fair enough, Arteta. But then if we're a club that, yeah, listen, we've got money. Arteta spent money, we've got money, but we ain't got what Newcastle's got, what Chelsea's got, what City's got, what United's got. So every penny and pound has to count that much more, in my opinion. And when you deep it, you know, you look at some of the players that are on the peripheral of things, when you add up the finances, what could have been done with that? You know, I like Fabio Vieira. I'm not saying he's not going to be successful, but if we're chasing the league title and we need a competitive squad and people to come in and things like that, was that 30 pound? Was that 30 million spent correctly? Whatever the 20 odd on Lokonga, that's about 50 million. You know, you look at Kai Havertz, that's 65, that's over 100 odd million quid. And then you look at putting Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Cedric. I don't care what these lot get, but you see online they're on 100 bags a week. Are we managing the finances correctly? You know, I'm not saying David Raya was a poor signing because I don't think he has been. And if that's what Arteta wants to do, that's what you want to do. But if we were working with a limited budget, was committing what is going to be 30 million to David Raya, could that have been spent in better areas? I don't know, people. I'm just offering opinions. I don't know about Mikel improving Saka because remember Saka at left wing back was hella good. Now he's just forced to hug the line. Also, why don't Nelly and Saka switch wings? 3-pointer, you said it there. I don't know why they don't switch wings. I don't know why there's not that healthy randomness. I think there's too much of an emphasis on our fullbacks and it's stifling our wingers because, as we know, the wingers in today's day and age that hug the touchline and might be skillers and can embarrass fullbacks, they're not necessarily the most productive. We live in a day and age where it's inside forwards. As you said it there, where Martinelli and Saka were doing their thing last season, it was more they're running in behind, they're running into space rather than, yeah, Saka's going to be doubled up and tripled up against, but they're dropping far too deep. But I don't think we can sit here and say he hasn't improved Bukayo Saka. The man himself has said that, and Saka has dropped. You know, obviously Emery had him when he was young. Saka's had his first couple standout seasons in terms of numbers. The same for Martinelli, the same for Odegaard. And I do think Arteta is a bit champagne-y like that. I think, you know, Arteta, you couldn't really go and bring him some mackerel and some rice and some pasta and some random sauces and make him bring you a banging meal. I think you need to provide oysters and the best ingredients the world has to offer, really. I don't think Arteta is really not on working with things that are not champagne. I think he can take relative youngsters, like if he had a Phil Foden and take them to the next level. I haven't seen anything to suggest he's going to pluck a random academy guy and pull him into the squad. Although saying that, I do think the development of Smith Rowe once upon a time, I do think with how he's managed to Saliba, I do even with Gabriel, I do think he can improve players, but these players kind of had some sort of base. I don't think he's plucked, you know, a Koza Jubri or Waters and all of these kind of things, if I'm honest with you. And that's the thing. But yeah, going back to the fullbacks, I think our fullbacks don't give us enough. And I think a bit of it is because of how they're being told to play under Mikel Arteta. But, you know, it's not like they're going to hug the touchline and they're basically failed wingers. I don't think they invert and control the middle. And I think that does harm. I think that harms Saka. And I think evidently the problems are even more gaping on that left-hand side. I do think Arteta, I like the fact that you like to micromanage, but I think you have to find that balance of that healthy randomness, that kind of click, that synergy, just letting players quote unquote do random things. But then again, you look in this day and age now, even back to when Conte first came in the Prem, I do think the days of just letting players free to their own devices have kind of gone, man, if I'm honest. I honestly don't know why we're giving Arteta more money to spend. We've already given him a lot, and he can look at the academy or internally for solutions. He can, but we do need to spend a bit of money. But I understand personally, if Kroenke goes, you know what, nah, bro, there's no money for January for you. You know, I hear it. If it's just that, I hear it because obviously, Arsenal make a big song and dance, smash the like button about collaboration and things like that. And naturally, not everybody's going to agree, but Mikel Arteta is going to get his way 9 times out of 10. If we're, without talking about the players, if we look at the structure, from what I see as an ignorant fan with no real knowledge, Arteta is the last one to leave. Edu is more disposable than him. All them people next to Edu are more disposable than him. Arteta seems to get what he wants, really. And you know, I don't know. I'm not in the meeting room, so I don't know. You know, Arteta could be telling, you know, Edu could have concerns about Havertz or about the resources with Raya, and Arteta says, forget that, I want that, go and get that. So if that's the thing and Edu's going and doing that, then that's his job, isn't it? You've done your job, it's not really your problem. If everybody's signing off on this, there's issues, really. And even when you look at our goalies, really, like, obviously signings go wrong, but you brought in Runnison, you brought Matt Turner, it didn't work, you know. And I'm being harsh, and I'm I don't know the word, but I'm forcing it a bit. But every penny has to kind of count, really, and it hasn't always, really. As I said, the last 18 months for the 3-4 years Arteta has been here, this has been the only times I'm seeing consistent signings that quote unquote bang. Declan Rice, which, not to take anything away from Mikel Arteta, Declan Rice can play for any team, and he's going to be doing this sort of thing. Gabriel Jesus, he might lack goals, but you know what he's going to bring. Zinchenko, to a point, you know what he's going to bring to the table, etc., etc. And I don't think we did everything that needed to be done in the summer. We needed another midfielder. Again, big up you lot that were there. You lot saw me sit there in the summer and say, all right, cool, you know what, don't really rate this guy Havertz signing, but surely you're going to bring another midfielder who is linked with Lavia them times. You know, going back to the January of last year, we tried to get Caicedo. The language was, we're going to try to get Caicedo in Jan and Declan Rice in the summer. So I thought, yo, 2 midfielders is a formality. I didn't think we'd get a winger and a striker, but I definitely thought one of the two, surely, because it's naive. Like, it's naive to expect Eddie Nketiah. I would love to wake up and Eddie's a bagsman, but he's not going to get a respectable amount of goals. Nelson isn't going to. Nelson definitely deserves more football, but he's not pushing Martinelli or Saka anytime soon, or really putting pressure on their spots, really and truly. Midfield, it's a fallacy if you think we're going to get out the hood with what we're seeing at the moment. Defensively, one body drops, we're in issues. You know, David Raya, Ramsdale, I don't really care who starts. I like them both. I would like Ramsdale to actually play against Palace, but I understand if Raya comes in. I don't think Raya necessarily deserves to be dropped, but I think Ramsdale was probably... It's a weird one, the Liverpool game, because we lost. It highlighted the same things we've kind of seen, you know, for the last few weeks. But I don't think it was the second half was naive, but I don't think it was a terrible performance. Everybody out, just not putting the ball in the back of the net and not learning the lessons that the footballing gods are putting in front of us. But I did think if I had to highlight some performers, you know, everyone could have done better for the goals. But I think our centre backs, as you need to, I thought they stood tall. I thought Ramsdale did his thing. I think Jorginho played a lot better than I would have expected against Liverpool. I think Havertz, again, the goal scored. Like, I'm not here to talk about Kai Havertz in front of goal, in it, because I think it's crazy that Mikel Arteta were relying on man to score goals. I hear it, physical outlet, all of that, but nobody's a cold-hearted killer. And I don't even think I think a striker fixes a lot of our issues, but then these players need to find their shooting boots. And like what someone just said, Arteta's got to find internal solutions, because Arteta said we need to be a team that gets 100 goals. Is one striker going to come in and get 100 goals in all comps? Or does the workload need to be shared? I personally think Arteta is kind of, you know, you go back in the season, it felt like despite the goals we scored, we weren't creating. Now I think it's a chance, it's more conversion, let alone creating. We're not converting. But if everybody is failing, then the manager has to take some sort of blame, really. Again, as I said, the players need to pull their fingers out and find their goal scoring boots. But if Trossard ain't in amazing form, Saka isn't, Martinelli isn't, Jesus ain't, Nketiah ain't, you know, any attacker that goes out there, even Nelson with his decision making, even though I think, again, he was one of the brighter players, indirectly, the manager has to take some blame, because ultimately it's your job. Everything you do, everything we see on a match day is a reflection of what you lot have done in pre-season, in the months, in the weeks, in general, the identity of what you lot are doing on the training ground. So I think it's a mixture of things. The only thing I can say I'm unhappy with is allowing Balogun to go and not replacing him. We did leave us short. We did leave us short, given the fact Jesus picks up 2 muscle injuries and not to have another option. And we're in issues, you know. We've got a lot of injuries, more than we can count. And now we've lost Jesus forever. How long? You know, the one luxury I would say is we've got a couple of weeks until Crystal Palace, and God knows what's going on with Zinchenko. I think, again, going back to the FFP stuff, I think on reflection, personally, in the summer, we was working with a way tighter budget than we already, you know, than us fans knew. Obviously, you've got to factor in contracts, a bag of players sign new deals, big ticket item in Declan Rice. Again, we spoke about managing resources. 65 million went on Havertz, rightly or wrongly. You brought in Timber. And I think they said, you know what, we're not going to have money for a winger. You know, Nelson, you might as well stay as a body and protect a bit of resale value. Balogun kind of wanted to leave anyways, but they probably said, you know what, we're struggling to sell Tini. We've put Partey up for sale. We're not. We might think these are good players, and we do, and they are, but they're not flooded with offers. So let's let Balogun go. It's 100% profit. Obviously, it's a player that's probably played, 10 times in the Premier League or in all comps, if that, for Arsenal. And things like that. But on reflection, it might have been what you might have, you know, Balogun might have stayed and been the guy in this day and age, really. If Jesus is injured and not doing it, and Nketiah got to start against Fulham, ain't really brought nothing to the table, Balogun might have done his thing. But I would hardly say Balogun this season is setting the world alight in France, really. But yeah, while I think we've shown we can plan ahead and do things, we've also it feels to a degree we're making our own problems at this football club, unfortunately. Big up yourself, Kay. I don't know about them lists there. I'm not getting involved in that. They put Hudson-Odoi on that, and my man was a kid. I don't know about none of that. I'm sticking to football, man, if I'm honest. You cover everything. Props to you, DG. Do you think Arteta is too set in his ways according to the young bloods, DG? I mean, every manager is going to be stubborn, have a sense of arrogance, and be set in their ways. I don't want to say he's lacking courage. I just don't think he's on the Haaland thing like that, if I'm honest with you. I think if you get a Saka I keep saying Saka because he's more of the exception than the rule. If you're one of them kind of talents, then I think he'll bust you. But I don't think he's going to really play you. Look, I know he's given Ethan game time. I know he started Sego Jr., but I don't think he's on the Haaland thing like that, really. How many of them players more so the season before last and up until this point. How many of them young G's been on the bench? How many made debuts? And I get it. You know, I'm not saying play the young G's for no reason, because I'm one of the only fans that is going to sit there. You know, if Waters plays or Kozajubi plays, Kozajubi might have, or who I want to play, he might miss a 1v1. Waters might make mistakes, but I think most fans would allow them, because that's them being out of their comfort zone. And internal solutions, you never know, they might not be good enough. And as much as I want all these attacking players, a young Waters might come in and do half decent. He can play left back, he can play right back, can play centre half. And for me, if you don't want to play them, loan them out really and truly, put them in the shop window, let them get more experience. I haven't yet to see Arteta just bet on a young player. Maybe they've, you know, he's tried the thing with Nelson. As I said, I think he has improved Martinelli and Saka, even though they weren't his guys. I think he tried something with Joe Willett once upon a time. But yeah, man. And for me, if we've got to be self-financing and don't have the money to go toe-to-toe with these oil places, then we need to be developing these young players so they can do things like Balogun, where they're sold for X amount of money and then reinvested. We've only spent 60 million on Trossard, Jesus, Martinelli for the front three. Saka, Eddie, and Nelson were free. There you have it. There. Tried Lokonga, it didn't bang. It didn't bang. He got zanged for Lokonga. Never listened to company again. This is why I don't trust black managers. No, I'm joking. Like man said, next year Toure, we air up. Like, and again, I'm not saying every signing has to be amazing and every signing has to work. Sometimes it goes wrong. Klopp's made bad signings. Pep's made bad signings. Arteta defo has. Wenger defo has. Ferguson defo has. You know, Souness defo has. If you know, you know. But we need it to be more of a hit. And it does feel like Arteta, you're on this captain saver whole thing. Like, I get why you would like Havertz. I don't think Havertz is a bad player for what it's worth. But we've got too many of these guys that, and I'm all for it, provided we address areas appropriately. We've got too many of these guys that can play everywhere. But what are they? You know, I love Smith Rowe, but what is he? Is he an 8? Is he a 10? Is he a left winger? And by all means, play everywhere you want. But what are you first and foremost? What is Kai Havertz? I'm sure if you ask 20 Arsenal fans, you have 20 different answers. One's going to scream left back, I'll get rid of Zinchenko, play him there. He played there for Germany. Someone's going to say you might as well put him in the 10 and put Odegaard in the 8. Someone's going to say persist with him as a false 9. Some are going to say play him on the left-hand side. Fabio Vieira under Mikel Arteta has played out wide. The man himself has said he's an 8 or a 10. You were competing with Xhaka. That's a myth now. Now you've got 65 million Havertz. You've got the captain Odegaard in the 10. You're not playing there. And there's probably a next one that I've forgotten. Like, these guys can play everywhere. It sounds great, but we need confirmation first, in my opinion. But what do I know? I'm just a fan, man. It's a joke, mate. Come on, Brave Boss, man. It's a joke. And last time I checked, of course, you know, nobody champions. It's a joke. Nobody champions diversity more than me. Nobody sticks up. Definitely where YouTubers are concerned for where it comes to racism, to do with my own as well as other people, man. It's a joke, man. Calm down, man. Calm down, man. Calm down. But anyways, away from that, Brighton scouts are good. We might need to, but the thing is with the Brighton thing, and the greatest of respect to Brighton, you know, then nobody wants to do what they're doing in terms of Arsenal and the other top 6. Respectfully, Brighton are going to get into that scenario now soon where you might lose De Zerbi or lose some key players that want to stay at Brighton if you keep seeing players go. It's like when Cesc was here, when Van Persie was here, when Adebayo was here, when Henry's here. Every couple of seasons, you get a decent bunch of players and you're seeing your teammates lose and it's back to square one. It's just a farm. Like there's no means to an end. And Brighton have a great project, you know, by doing what they've done, you know, they're in an even stronger position where, you know, they can hold clubs to ransom because they've already got strong reserves from bringing players in. They get players from all over the world, Asia, South America, Africa, whatever have you. Every minute they've got a player that you've never seen before and they do their thing. They sell well, they play well. They've got a great club philosophy as well because, you know, the players seem to, you know, hit the ground running and things. And I think when you look at, I'm sure Caicedo, McAllister, Mitoma, I could be wrong, but a couple of them have actually gone out on loan or not initially gone into the first team. You know, they've got a good project, but at some point, Brighton, and they've got Premier League stability, but at some point, Brighton are going to have to say, we want to hold on to a couple of these players and become a top 10 side, a top 6 side, which they're doing already, push into the conference, the Europa, the champs or whatever, because De Zerbi might as well cut soon, really and truly. And I think many fans would not give, you know, Caicedo at the first port of him being bought, McAllister when he was first bought, Mitoma when he's first bought. Many fans are not going to give these guys chances, really, if I'm completely honest with you. So there you have it there, man, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, man, Onana will do well on the right team. No, I don't know. I don't know if United are onto, but fair enough. Smash the like button and big up the Twitch ones. To be honest, I've seen our Highlanders make mistakes in the youth league, so the step up is too much yet. I do feel Ethan is ready, plus a ball carrying 8 is what Ethan is, and we need it. I mean, everybody makes mistakes. And again, if young players do play, you have to give them the scope to play. And I would say more, I would like Waters to get some game time because I think we're getting to that scenario if we can't bring in a defensive body at fullback in any capacity. But if anything, surely you could be more adventurous. I understand not blooding young defenders. I really do. Players in general. But surely you can get away with the young attackers. And I feel like even when Saka come on the scene and all these guys, when our club was in turmoil, we had that healthy, youthful naiveties. Like, obviously, it's not the best environment, but maybe they can't see beyond the lens of, oh, bro, I'm playing for Arsenal in the Premier League. This is my dream and things like that, really and truly. I'd rather, obviously, see my players make mistakes in the opponent's third than ours, obviously. So yeah, man, I can't lie on Onana, ain't it? I'm having it as part of the squad. I don't think I sit there and go wow and whatnot, but yeah, man, it is what it is in that regards, man. It is what it is. Arsenal need a striker, winger, and centre mid. In my honest opinion, I think everyone and their dog is with you with that. But yeah, young players make mistakes. More experienced players make mistakes. I think footballers in general have to be allowed to make mistakes. Strikers are not always going to put the ball in the back of the net. Defenders are going to make mistakes. Balls are going to get lost on the transition. You're going to concede from set pieces. You're playing out from the back. Something crazy is going to happen. This is football. We'd all love to live in a world, I'm sure, of whatever club you lot support, where you win every game, you concede no goals, you score 1,000,000 goals, and there's no mistakes. Unfortunately, that is not how life works. At Brighton, you know you'll play coming from South America. Martinelli took time to become a regular when we weren't contenders. And that's a thing, you touched on it. That's another thing people don't give anyone in football time. What is the thought process of the Kroenkes with Arteta? Are they happy with what they've seen so far? Have there some I think you mean have they got some question marks with his key decisions last summer? Surely they have a meeting to discuss. I think naturally, you know, I don't think anyone, you know, even if you was to like, I'm sure there's improvements Declan Rice, Saliba, and Saka could make, but I don't think they could be 100% convinced with every decision Mikel Arteta has made. I do feel, well, in fact, I don't feel actually, let me not lie to you, I don't feel they're as anxious to win a Premier League trophy as us. I think they will look at it and say, you know what, the gaffer has made some naive mistakes. Maybe he could have done this, he could have done that, but Arsenal are recognized, quote unquote, allegedly as the third best team in the Premier League, or anything from first to third, depending on that for the second year in a row. I don't think he will live or die by if you win the Champions League, if you win the Premier League and things like that. I definitely feel there should be some serious discussions, you know. I don't think Arteta should be killed for not winning the Premier League or the champs, but if we're not improving defensively, if we're not bringing more assets to our system and other ways of playing, if we're not scoring more goals, if the players are not improving, if the points tally is significantly off, if we do not give ourselves a great account of ourselves in the Champions League, naturally I think there should be question marks. And again, Arteta, one love for getting this club back moving again and all of these things. And I appreciate that. If you left tomorrow, your head held high. Now I think it's becoming a discussion where we know you can do this project thing. We know you can do all of that. Can you get us a Premier League title? Because if I'm honest with you, it's easy for me to say, but I think a more experienced manager gets the Premier League title over the line last season, if I'm honest. I do feel Arsenal on the pitch and off the field, for whatever other clubs are doing, for me anyways, just as an Arsenal fan, it feels like we make things harder for ourselves, and it feels like we shoot ourselves in the foot, really. But I think the Kroenkes would say, you know what, we back this guy, he's doing what he needs to do. I think Edu will leave before him, if I'm honest. I think he might sign a midfielder, but speaking of him, I'm not a fan of the signing. He's very rare and not ready for a big top 6 club. Who are we speaking about? Onana, or are we speaking about someone else? Arteta gradually killing the confidence of our fringe players. Talk more of the academy ones. A confident Nelson buries the Ramsdale pass one time. Trossard now a shadow of himself. Arteta has trust issues. I hear that, and I do think that to a degree. And I think a bit of that is naturally if you're not playing. I do think because of the results. But I'm not being funny. These players need to pull their effing fingers out, really and truly. I disagree with a confident Nelson buries the Ramsdale chance, because I would say Nelson was almost too confident. He's trying to find the near post and then smiling where he needs to get his head up. I don't think indirectly Mikel Arteta can be blamed for the decision making of the players, but Nelson, get your head up, find a pass. Jesus, the misses you have. Nketiah, the misses you have. Saka, the decision making a number of times in the last few games. Martinelli as well. I think personally that's a cop out. DG, would you go for Hugo Ekitike, that PSG striker? I like him historically, but you ain't played no football, man. Are you ready to hit the ground running? And You know, you're a kind of young one as well. I think you're a good player. I might change my mind in 6 months, but I don't think Arteta's going to bet on you like that. Don't know if it's wise to let Arteta waste another window. We need a new manager. I'm not saying this to keep Mikel Arteta, but who is the new manager? And I don't expect you to answer it because I can't. I'm not saying keep Arteta just because I can't find another manager. I'm just saying, who is it? You know, Xabi Alonso, I've been given a new taste for these new age managers. If you want to leave Leverkusen and come here for no reason, I'm sure you got your eyes on Bayern Munich, Liverpool, or Madrid, even though Carlos signed a new deal. Fair enough. Saka's burnt out, needs to cut that hair. Many of our fans are saying creativity isn't there. We've had 61 shots on target in 5 games, only 1 goal. That's not a creativity problem. It's a ruthlessness in front of goal. I think my problem with our creativity, I like the fact that it's, you know, I like the fact that we're patient. If we can't go down the left, we'll keep the ball and go down the right, etc. But I think there needs to be balance. I would like to see a bit of healthy randomness. Silva or Fulham, I'm not sure. I haven't watched the Henry interview or the podcast. I think it'll break my heart, man, when he's talking about depression and all of these things. Like for me, in my 28 years of life, primary school, which so long ago, I was called a glory hunter for supporting Arsenal. Thierry Henry was everything to me, and I'm not a fan of idolizing people and things, but he was like Superman to me, really and truly. So it's too difficult for me to accept that that's how Henry felt, if I'm honest with you, man. All the strikers are young. For our budget, we can't get Osman and Vlahovic, so just go and get Sesko. We'll cook. Social, you know me. I'm a big fan of Sesko. If it was up to me and you, would make it happen. But what can we do, man? Like, what can we do? Hello, Deluded. Signing Onana is good. However, I don't think we're in crisis, as most people are putting it, but it's a blip. Arteta has done a wonderful job, and it's not time to tear the blueprints. I mean, Arteta's got to get himself out of it. This is what comes with managing a big club. This is what comes with playing for a big club. Anytime you don't win one game, much less the current climate that we have ourselves in, you need to find your way out. What's the alternative? Anyone who's crying, feeling sorry for themselves, woe is me. Apologies for my language. Get the fuck out of this football club. You know, the world is harsh. Life is harsh. You know, count your blessings. Because the one thing that you lot did in the Prem when we was not really playing amazing, we was ticking along. You made sure there's a certain floor. We're out the FA Cup. That breaks my heart. It is what it is now. We're out the League Cup. I'm not going to say it breaks my heart, but I'm not one of these fans that looks down their nose at cups. Any cup you can get. You look at Klopp when he was winning all those kind of other cups before they went and done the big one. And for these footballers, I don't think they're sitting there and saying, I don't want to win this trophy. There's no guarantees as a footballer that you're actually even going to win trophies in your career. Look at the amount of people that are participating this year in the Champs, in the Prem, in the FA Cup, in the League Cup, and those historically throughout time. And those people, you know, think of that number. It's a madness. And the people, the players better yet, who actually win these things. Trophies are a good reward to let you know that hard work, there comes benefits and whatnot. So we just need to keep going. Whether we look back and say December is where it was won and lost, it is what it is. In the league, for me, I'm just hoping on the top 3 finish and a good account of ourselves in the Champs. Would I love to win the Prem? 100%, but that's a pipe dream. If I'm describing the Premier League as a pipe dream, then I don't know where we're at with the Champs. I really wanted to win a 15th FA Cup. Since we've won that FA Cup under Mikel Arteta, we've been embarrassing ourselves. As we approach February and the Champions League, Arteta, one gripe I have with you has been the latter stages of European competitions. It's not all your fault, but Sporting Lisbon, Olympiacos, Villarreal, I don't think we've conducted ourselves in the best way. And that was in the Europa, and this is in the elite competition. You know, I would love to go all the way. I think it's a silverware-less season, if that even makes sense for Arsenal. Although we can be shameless and say we won the English Super Cup in August, man. So, yeah, man, it is what it is. Havertz signing was the worst in years. To be fair, Pablo Mari, William, Cedric, and them, man. Some of our fans are calling for Conte or Mourinho. Are they really ready for football so dire or put a glass eye to sleep? Damn. 18 months left. He needs to leave. Hasn't maximized his resources. What is what you like on Sesko? I don't think he could hit the ground running for Arsenal. We need time. I like his movement off the ball. I like his variety in his runs. I think he's a cold-hearted killer in front of goal, although that has not correlated to his new club. I like his profile and the fact that he could get better with this squad. I sometimes you just have a smell of it, and he just looks like one of them strikers that was made in a lab, man. Overreacting a little bit, in my opinion. Injuries are killing us at the moment. I can only speak for myself. I don't think I've overreacted. I think with football, it's a coping mechanism. People in general will see what they want to see. If you want to see hella negativity, Arteta out brigade, do all of that. If you want to be dishonest in a positive way and make out everything's gravy, I don't tell you lot what to think, just think. I think the truth's in the middle. There's many reasons to be positive. There's many reasons to be negative, but I'm never going to deny the frailties. In relation to injuries, we've seen injuries can strike and kill anyone. But I have no sympathy for anyone with injuries, unless it's a thing where 10 players are out and you need to play under 16s. I don't have any sympathies. Arteta, since you walked into this club, you've seen what could be said for injuries. We're still saying the same things. If Partey, when Tommy, like we're saying the same things. We've seen this time and time again. If we want to be a team like what Arteta says, competes on all fronts, you need a squad. I'm not asking you to get everything right, get it done in one window, but we're saying the same things. And to be honest with you, we've done a good job coping with injuries from August up until this point. But I don't think we've learned our lessons in that regards. I don't think we've learned our lessons on the field when we're waffling about late-minute winners, not starting games well and ending it strong. The same things that have kind of led to our demise in this negative period, they've been there when we've won games. I can't speak for anyone, but I watch games, and I watch games twice. And I'm not trying to catch anyone out. I want my club to win stuff. So I have to talk about the good, bad, and the ugly. I do agree with you in that some go overboard. And I feel... It's very hard for me to talk to Arsenal fans because I feel there's too many Arteta sexuals. Like, I like Arteta, but I like my club more. You know, there are some fans, Arteta, as I said yesterday, could poo in his hands and clap and people would find something to praise. I think some people take things out of context and attack the guy and things like that, where I feel there's reasons to be negative about Arteta and what he's doing. I think there's reasons to be positive. And I think the truth's in the middle, man. All this Arteta out is doing too much still. Boy, in it, still a bit harsh. Where's the Techers coach that was signed? No impact on our attacking players. They've gotten worse. Hey, do you know what? I forgot about that. Maybe they're not listening. You know, you could have the best teacher in school. If you're not listening, it is what it is. Would Boniface be ready? He's out with injury until deadline day. I mean, it's looking like a summer thing for him, isn't it? Really and truly. Like, you can't get them kind of guys, really. And even if you could, you'd have to pay something stupid to Leverkusen. They are trying to do what Dortmund failed to do last year. They have a real good chance of obviously winning the Bundesliga. I don't know how many goals Boniface has at the time of making this video, but you'd be making it, as you can see, whether you're trying to stay in the league, get promoted, win a league, get a respectable finish, goals win games, ultimately. You know, I still would have a lot of the issues that I've said in the last few days, I would have had we have, you know, beaten Liverpool, had we have beaten Aston Villa and Newcastle and things. But reality is, goals win games. Maybe if you had that striker with that proven pedigree, you get away with it, really and truly. You know, Arteta said we need to be a team that gets 100 goals. I haven't seen anything to suggest that we're moving into that direction. We don't have that striker that's going to turn some losses into draws, some draws into victories. So, yeah, man. Arteta in's got to stop trying to police the fan base. It does feel like I'm not even Arteta in. There's Arteta sexuals and Arteta haters. I feel for the Arteta sexuals, they kind of move a bit snooty, like they know more than you, and like they just want to be able to say one day they're right. And it feels like, you know, the same kind of said for the negatives. If Arteta doesn't end up being the guy that can do what we need to do, fine, F him off, get someone else in. If he becomes the guy that can do stuff, great. And that's where I am. I think there's legitimate things that Arteta has done well. I think there's reasons to face the music. I feel when the sun's shining and we're winning games and all the articles are coming out, nobody has an issue with us with praising Arteta, even when it goes over the top. So when things are going negative, I don't see why people can't critique. I'm not talking about people with vested agendas and all of these things. And I also feel Arteta has been quite naive in his belief of certain players. That's just my honest thoughts. Do you think the captaincy should be handed to Declan Rice? Maybe one day if Odegaard's not there, I wouldn't strip Odegaard of the captaincy. And to be honest with you, the last couple of games, I think Odegaard's been one of the... And this is what I mean about agendas. I'm not saying Odegaard couldn't have done better or it hasn't been amazing. I'm not saying you're saying this anyways, Jason, but sometimes when you see the comments on the aftermath of games, I do wonder, and again, we're all watching football by different lenses and things, but I have to wonder, are people actually watching the effing game? Because definitely against Liverpool, you can't come for Odegaard. I'm sorry, you can't mention Odegaard. Like, he's one of them that actually stood up to be counted. So, yeah, but Odegaard's a pretty footballer, man. He plays around with his hair and things. You need Spartans around him, really. You know, how many times has Odegaard's defo at times this season been poor? But how many times has he done some wonderful things and not got an assist? And to be honest with you, I know he hit the crossbar, if I can remember correctly. Odegaard's probably been one of the actual only players that I've been happy with in the final third that's actually generally, for the large part, been making the right decisions. I'll back Bukayo Saka to the cows come home. But even sometimes when, to be fair, I don't know if I would square to Eddie Nketiah either, but sometimes we could square the ball, man, are not squaring the ball. People are not hitting the targets. People are not putting their foot through it. People are going for the wrong kind of surface area of their foot to finish. And just simply put, that final action, which is putting the ball in the back of the net, is what we're struggling to do. The hardest thing in football is to do that, on top of playing simple football. I can't really see a viable replacement if Arteta gets sacked. Are we really going to be happy with someone like Potter instead? I can't see it, but then again, it's not our job to see it. If I don't think it's time to sack him yet, but if that time comes where he needs to be sacked, I'm not going to say don't sack a man because I can't see it. Make it happen, really and truly. I get the feeling that strikers like Vlahovic and Sesko would be just as isolated as Eddie and Ketter in games. I think pressing and passing may be just as important to Mikel up front. It is. I've said it before, and I kind of got corn for it. It sounds dumb, and I kind of disagree with it, but in the modern day, to a degree, and definitely under Mikel Arteta, the scoring goals is probably the least important thing of the strikers, or Gabriel Jesus would not be here, really and truly. Hello, man. Our fan base is crazy, man. They go from this player is the best, this player is the best, this, that, the third. We lose a couple games, they're the worst than ever. It comes with the territory, and that's, I don't know about now, but that rightly or wrongly, even though I haven't always agreed with it, one thing I'll give the players or internally within the club, as highlighted via the All or Nothing, is they don't really listen to the noise, and that's what I want them to do. Where, you know, even people, when I say noise, even people that are doing the positive thing, people that are doing the crazy negative, just shut it up. Some, you know, think opinions can change. You lot internally within that club know what's gone right and know what's gone wrong. Put it together now. You're going off to Dubai with your families and the manager, bit of togetherness, warm weather, kind of away from this, you know, from the environment. As I said, forgive, the past is gone now. Forgive yourself for whatever happened, and let's build to the future, really. 18 months left. Do you trust Arteta with more money? How many left backs he bought? How many goalies he bought and still swaps them out? He wastes his resources. It does feel like we need we need Eddie to put his put his foot down. You know, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I can't blame anyone that trusts Arteta, anyone that's lost faith in Arteta or the players. Everyone's allowed their opinions, man. Even centre backs and goalies, it's about how good you are on the ball and not really can you defend or catch, such as the climate, man. The issue I have with Arteta is he never did an apprenticeship in the game, lower league, lesser teams. You can see he's missing some fundamentals. I think he's got fundamentals. I just think Arteta lacks a lot of necessary street smartness in this league at times. I think he's shown me you're a very good planner. You can plan individually and collectively. You can plan for an opponent. I'm not really convinced sometimes with how you use the subs, how you navigate squad depth, you know, when to play on a player's form, when to pull them out, and kind of things like that. But a lot of the times this last month, I think it's against Liverpool. I think it's on the players, really. I think Arteta indirectly has to take the blame because the way you've assembled this squad, I've said it several times, you've signed up for performances like that. We've got no goal scorers and we're asking them to score goals. It's not really, it's like getting blood from a stone. But at the same time, the players put the ball in the back of the net. I don't quite agree with these shouts that Arteta coached the 4-0, but in many ways he did. But the players got to put the ball in the back of the net. But everything on a football field is a reflection of the manager, good and bad. I'm gutted. Leipzig picked up Elmas, left 8 for Napoli for 21 million euros. He's top class. Been around for a minute, innit? I don't know. I don't know what Arteta was thinking Smith Rowe and Trossard could do within, what was it, like 3 minutes? It would have been lovely, but what the hell could they have done, really and truly? I don't know. As I said, the way Arteta has navigated dealing with multiple competitions, the way how he's kind of got to the latter stages of Europe, the squad assembling, the naiveties, not necessarily maximizing resources and sometimes wasting money. I think these are genuine question marks for Arteta. Like, I'm not Arteta in or out. Right now, you look like, I'm not saying to sack you, but I care about my football club. If you do great things, I'm going to praise you. If I feel you're doing dodgy things, I'm going to ask a question. And that's one thing that annoys me about Arsenal fans as well. It's like more the Arteta sexuals. Everything that you say that is not positive, it's not hating on the gaffer. It's not really making sense, man. DG, if you were the agent of Koza Juby, would you recommend him to sign a new contract or to leave Arsenal to play senior football? There's a lot of factors that I can't answer, you know. Is he paid? People don't like to hear it with football. Is he being paid enough compared to his counterparts? Because there's players that are rotting away in certain youth academies that are not. What is the pathway? Arteta might like you and you might play in the friendlies and whatnot, but what is the plan for you? Because he's 19 in May. If I'm him, I'm trying to push to go out on loan next summer. So it all really depends, really. And it's also what your client wants. I might say to Koza Juby, let's get out of it. He might still be on that naive, I'm an Arsenal fan, etc. Let's stay. If a club comes and they can give me a genuine pathway where you look at Koza Juby, it's facts. You know, there's teams in the Championship that want him on loan. I don't want to talk too tough, but there's clubs that want him. There's big clubs in Europe that want him. Borussia Dortmund want him. Anderlecht want him. PSV are having a look. I mean, when players are out of form, I'd advocate for people to get chances, man. There's no one in that academy that I'm sitting there saying, yeah, play them right now for 10 games and whatnot. But you just never know. When are you actually ready? Matoma's lit. That first minute against Liverpool, I was screaming for Reece to lob Alisson with that chance. Different thing, though, when you're in the heat of the moment. Easy finish from the armchair. There you have it. For me, I wanted him to square it, man. I was a bit peed off when Nelson went for the near post and had a little giggle, man. DG, what would you change tactically to get us out of this slump? Can we really change anything? I don't really think it's a tactical thing. I just think these men need to spend a good couple hours learning how to finish. Ian Wright, Thierry Henry, Nicholas, and any striker that has any free time or has been retired, go and work with these guys, man, because they're not finishing. And then I look at it, you know, Saka, Martinelli in particular, you lot didn't become blunt knives overnight. Is it a psychological thing? So is there something that needs to be arrested psychologically within the camp? I don't know. I don't have a clue, man. Do you rate Havertz ahead of Smith Rowe? I don't rate. I think Arteta does. Listen. If two players had to, if one of those two players had to leave, I'm picking Smith Rowe every day of the week. Really, he's more my sort of player. Arteta is a good coach, but his problem is his accountability. For example, when we bottled the league, instead of saying, "Okay, cool, we effed up, let's go again," but my man feels sorry for the players. He feels sorry for himself. Everyone internally shot themselves in the foot, and they're the reasons as to why we didn't win that league last season. For as good as City were, on the face of it, no shame in losing out on a league title to a City team that won the treble. But every Arsenal fan knows in our hearts why we wasn't expected to fight for a league title. When it became apparent that there was an opportunity there, it was chocolate teapot settings. We're going into certain games with certain players that the drop-off is far too strong. And at the same time, even though Rob Holding is nothing to scream and shout about, and the fact that he isn't playing well for Crystal Palace says everything. I don't believe, even with Rob Holding, that's the easy cop-out, because even against Liverpool, I don't think we dropped points just because of Rob Holding. Against Man City, I don't think it was just because of that. Do you think Arsenal should hire a sports psychologist? You'd imagine they've got these guys in and around the team, but if they don't, probably. Let's get into some news as well, people. Arsenal fly out to Dubai on Tuesday as they bid to get their season back on track with a warm weather training camp. The Gunners have suffered 3 consecutive defeats across all comps and are now not in action until the 20th of January when they host Crystal Palace in the Prem. Arsenal have decided to head to Dubai during the break and will be there until next week. Players have been invited to bring their families, and some flew out straight after Sunday's FA Cup defeat by Liverpool in order to spend time with them before the training camp starts. The rest of the squad were traveling on Tuesday, and Arsenal are planning to take all players, even those carrying injuries. Jesus is going to obviously be there. Allegedly, Zinchenko is making good progress. They said Jesus' knee injury is not serious. Zinchenko allegedly is making good progress with his calf injury, whatever that means. There's no return dates. Timber and Partey will apparently continue their rehabs in Dubai, people. Arsenal had multiple plans in place. Well, they're going to have to do that, people. The Gunners could have, well, we know that. There's no point. Either way, we're going to Dubai, and it's as simple as that. We're going to Dubai. We've got to remember, Mikel Arteta, when asked on signing people, he said there might not be any incomings. He said that's a possibility. Unfortunately, Jiren has a long-term injury. He's doing really well, but it's still far from training with the team. That's what we have. With Tommy having to leave, we're open for the transfer market, but the emphasis is on making the most of the players we have. We'll work within the club to understand if there are any possibilities and whether we have good options. But first of all, we'll focus on the players we already have. So then make it happen, then, innit? Really and truly. Chelsea are reportedly also following the situation of Everton midfielder Onana closely this January amid growing links with Arsenal, people. So, yeah, it seems like Chelsea are not going away where Onana's concerned. Apparently, Arsenal have held intensive talks with Everton over a deal for Onana. The North London club's desire to sign the midfielder is echoed by reports in Belgium, who then explain what they have to do to take him away from Everton. It's claimed Arsenal are serious and are carrying out negotiations with Everton for the 22-year-old. Barcelona, Man United and Chelsea have also been credited with an interest, but apparently Arsenal, the club pushing to secure the Belgium international services. Arteta is a fan of the Everton star and believes he could be an ideal reinforcement at the Emirates. Arsenal seem to be convinced, as reports state they are considering making an official offer for Onana. Sean Dyche's side will demand 60 million euros to depart ways with the former Leal man. Recent claims in England have stated Arsenal have to be wary of not breaching FFP rules and be creative with signings in January. So we'll have to see. You've seen loans with obligations to buy. Even some Arsenal fans have spotted that his agent's in London. Maybe it could be to have talks with Arsenal about signing Onana. Maybe, I'm sure an agent has multiple players on their books. So maybe it could have nothing to do with Onana as to why he's in London. Maybe he could be shopping or buying some late Christmas gifts, people, even though Christmas was last month. Romano has confirmed that Arsenal have some appreciation for Onana as well, people. Let's see exactly what he said. He said, I'm aware there have been some big claims being made about Arsenal intensifying in negotiations to sign Amadou Onana from Everton. Of course, this has some Gunner fans excited, but I'm afraid it's not quite the information I have for the moment. My understanding is that Onana has always been one of the players appreciated by Arsenal, but I don't have more concrete updates than just that just yet. Let's see in the next days what happens, but Arsenal for sure, it remains time to discuss internally before making concrete bids. Henri is a fan of Solanke, and apparently, he would like us to sign Solanke. But does anyone want us fork out 50 million for Solanke? Don't let desperation make you do silly things. We've been linked with a 17-year-old Wolfsburg defender, David Odogu, who's quite decent. I'm sure you play for the Germany's under 17s, but in terms of helping us right now, you're not going to help us. A report from the Daily Mail claims that the talented young defender has been watched by London clubs recently. It remains to be seen whether they decide to make a move for him in the coming months. He's hailed as a prestigious talent with a big future ahead of him and needs to play regularly in order to continue his development. Are you going to get that in Arsenal's first team? So who knows? Chelsea might send you on several loans, but yeah, it is what it is in that regard. What's this? So it seems like this is an update in kind of transfer blog, which definitely had something to do with Arsenal. Sorry, folks. Let's scroll down and see what could be said here. Well, yeah, Everton yet to receive Onana approach. Allegedly, Everton have had no approaches from any club yet for the Belgian midfielder, but Man United have also been previous admirers. Everton, who are awaiting a takeover deal for new owners 777 to be ratified by the Premier League, are still juggling financial issues after a 10-point deduction this season for breaching profit and sustainability rules. The sale of a big money player would ease those problems and can also give Daesh some money to spend. Pardon me, but the Everton boss insists any deal will be discussed with him, but the board will make the final decision. That would be down to the powers that be. So if there is some bit of creative accounting and Everton say, you know what, we need to get money and we're treading lightly with FFP, Sean Dyche don't really have an opinion. Well, he has an opinion, but he can't make a decision right now. So that might give fuel to the fire. I'm quite pessimistic on bringing Onana. I'd love to be proven wrong, Onana and anyone, but we'd have to see. Bring Fofana to the carpet. Man on Twitter said Timber was going to be back in training this month, acting like Timber's an Avenger. Leave him till next season, man. Any youngsters in Dubai? Not to my knowledge, but I'd hope anyways. Cozy Dewberry, Ethan, Miles, all of these lot travel. But saying that, I'm pretty sure on Friday they play at Middlesbrough. The under 21s, the reserve league gets back going. So I don't know if they're going to travel or if they're going to stay and be part of that. But I'd love for them to be involved, man, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, Sean Dyche says that will be down to the powers that be. They'll make them decisions inevitably. They'll ask for my advice, I'm sure, and it's fair to say we've got a more rounded squad that, apart from the obvious 10-point situation, has performed better and is showing signs of progress. You don't really want to start taking that to pieces, and certainly not midway through a season, but the club might view it differently. We'll have to wait and see. And I think Sean Dyche is right on that. Again, Ikram Connor has said Arsenal are closing in on a verbal agreement with Everton's Belgian midfielder Onana on personal terms. Arsenal are continuing negotiations with Everton to sign the Belgian player. Let's see. We've been here before. Apparently, Xavi doesn't want to sign João Felix for next season. Any takers, people? Apparently, Man United are in advanced talks to sign Callum McKenna after fending off interest from Arsenal and Chelsea in the 17-year-old goalkeeper, people. What's this? What is this? Real Madrid absolutely want to sign Alphonso Davies. He's the priority for their left-back position, and they've asked him not to extend with Bayern. His contract expires in 2025. The dream is free. The Arsenal is sold separately, man. Apparently, I'm surprised Rafinha ain't been linked with Arsenal. Apparently, Deco has blocked his departure from Barcelona. We could do with a winger in January or at any given point. And I'm pretty sure those rumors will happen. Can't imagine you haven't seen, but for what it's worth, Ivan Toney a few days ago said he wants to repay Brentford by getting them out of the relegation battle during the second half of the season after the support the club showed him during his 8-month ban from football. And I'm sure everyone will be watching closely to see what he's doing. Would any of you not take Joshua Zirkzee, former Bayern Munich player who's over there in Italy bagging goals? I know many people say, couple man go Italy and start bagging. But he's got interest from United, Newcastle, AC Milan and Juventus. And he's got 8 goals in 21 appearances as well as assisting 4. I'm not saying Arsenal should sign him, but you'd imagine if we've really been looking at strikers, he's been one of the more informed strikers this season. You'd imagine he's on the list or been scouted to some degree, people. I covered this yesterday, but apparently Aston Villa and Arsenal have been linked with Spinazzola of Roma. The left-back's contract expires at the end of this season, and his agent has already confirmed he won't sign an extension, and he'll either leave for free in the summer or could potentially leave this month. The 30-year-old has admirers from Saudi Arabia, people. I know what I'd be doing really. Arsenal have also been credited with an interest as well, people. One winger who could be coming into the football club, apparently, or back to the football club. Arsenal are in talks with Nantes over recalling Marquinhos from his loan at the French club in January. You're not it, man. We're not getting out of the hood with you, man. You're just not the guy, man. It is what it is in that. Partey was already considered as a candidate for sale until the end of June, but then Arteta decided to keep him. So anything can happen there in the summer. For now, it's very quiet as he's injured now, so there are no concrete updates so far, said Romano when discussing Thomas Partey. People can't imagine anybody shocked by that. Apparently, Arsenal have missed out in the race for the highly rated Croatian team forward Dino Klapija. The 16-year-old and his family have decided to sign for Leipzig in a deal worth 4.8 million quid. So fair enough. There you have that. Let's start closing that tab, police. You can see I'm getting better at this. There's hardly any tabs now. Arsenal and Man City are to battle it out for Pedri this summer. Yeah, mate. Great stuff. We already covered that. Again, we've been linked with Solanke, but apparently will demand 30 million for Eddie Nketiah this month, who is wanted by Brentford and Palace allegedly. So we'll have to see, people. And then also we've been linked with Solanke, who's got 12 Premier League goals at this moment in time. Don't know if he'll be the answer, but fair play. Allegedly, Romano has said Arsenal are extremely happy with midfielder Charlie Paterno's loan spell at Swansea, people. So yeah, let's keep it going, really. And he's being linked with Juventus. From Arsenal's perspective, and I'd love to see him involved in, or better yet, integrated into the first team in some capacity next season. From Arsenal's perspective, they're really happy with Paterno's progress this season, and the agreement with Swansea was probably a smart decision by the club when they had to resolve his future back in the summer. So we'll have to see, man. But would love to see him. I wouldn't rule out him going out on loan one more time if he could go to the Prem, but why not? We've already spoken about this guy. Arsenal need midfield overhaul with Onana ideal for Mikel Arteta revolution. The very fact that we spent 170 million on our midfield and there's only been 105 million justified tells it all. El Nene and Jorginho. I think one of them will stay for next season, but I'd rather Jorginho stay as a peripheral. El Nene will pass your sell by date. Fabio Vieira and Smith Rowe, whether fit or not, can't get a look in. We all know we've been linked with Zubamendi, Douglas Luiz, Onana. It'd be lit for that, man. The plan is for Rice to have long-term competition at the base of midfield, although the transition can be eased by taking up an option to extend Jorginho's contract for a further 12 months. Jorginho will be happy to stay, but talks over his future are not expected until later in the season. We know he's a popular figure in the dressing room. Arsenal have racked up a net spend of around 400 million over the past 3 years and are close to FFP play limits. Well, that's on Arteta and Edu then, really and truly. You're not getting Zubamendi even if you activate his release clause in January because he doesn't want to leave. Villa, rightly so, are going to price you out of a move for Douglas Luiz. Onana, I don't think it's going to end well, but I'd love to be proven wrong, people. So big up the standard, but this is just bare article. This is just bare writing to say what we already know. United, Arsenal, and Chelsea are among the clubs showing an interest in Palmeiras teen sensation Estavio Willian, who has been dubbed Little Messi. Brilliant player for what it's worth, but probably could forget about that. Sagna is twerking for a role at Arsenal. He said on Edu, he understands football, not only business. All the players that Edu and Arsenal have signed have been spot on. Take the example of Ben White, Ramsdale, Partey. They've all been a big success at the club. Big up Edu and whatnot, but it's dishonest to say that because there's Marie, there's Willian, there's Cedric, there's several other things. Obviously it weren't their fault, but Aubameyang's new deal then getting ripped up. Lokonga, Tavares, Marquinhos, none of these guys are making up any noise really. So it's a bit dishonest, isn't it, really, Sagna? But I like you, Sagna. I'm still not over the way you snaked us to City. I don't blame you, but you snaked it. So that seems to be everything. As I said, it seems like a slow news day. Let's see if there's anything else Arsenal related. It's all going to be Onana with an occasional touch on Ivan Toney. So yeah, really, we all know Eddie Nketiah's asking price. We've seen this before, but Man City to rival Arsenal for Wolves winger Pedro Neto. I'd rather go City. Might not get as much game time, but you get the point. But that appears to be it. Against Man City last year, Holding was the only guy to back. Holding annoyed me when he done that. I was like, yeah, we're moving, man. Meaty player goal. Try Frankie de Jong, not this PMP merchant with poor passing tech. Harsh, man. You saying DG been a while since I was last here. How's everything going? From a YouTube sense, we're ticking over, man. We're doing what we need to do. From Arsenal, you've seen the results, innit? We just keep it going. Paterno getting sold, Balogun sentence probably. They both need to bounce subpar to the standard of the club. None of the Arsenal PR is going to save their jobs. But to be fair, I don't think their job's under any immediate threat. Marquinhos' recall is due to him only playing 7 games in France with none of them more than a full half of ball. Arsenal still like him. things can happen and the manager might not like you, but why aren't you played? Because I think Marquinhos is one of them. Arsenal trying to turn 3 million into 30 mil or at least 13. There's got to be a reason it ain't worked. Same kind of thing happened to you at Norwich, where you started bristlingly good and then found yourself on the fringes. Hopefully he gets that situation rectified, man. That wink Holding did after score made me sick. It did, man. And it just, what's going on there? Koji Druby, to be honest, has had a good loan spell this time. He's played enough games for Coventry. He's progressing well. Koji Druby's not on loan, my guy. I think you get mixed up. I know the fan base is sick of Chelsea players, but if Conor Gallagher is available, I think he'd fit in right into the team. I mean, beggars can't be choosers, can they? 87 likes. Can we get to 100? Appreciative to all of you lot who have hit the like button already, people. So, honestly, where it comes to Arsenal, we're just going to have to enjoy the highs and ride patiently through the lows, man, really, because what else have we got, man? It's a mixed bag. We either sit here and feel sorry for ourselves or we try to salvage the season in some part, people. But yeah, I appreciate you lot's difference of opinion, you lot's opinions, you lot's banter, you lot talking points, etc. We've been here an hour. Nothing more to discuss. I don't want to waste you lot's time. I'm sure you lot are busy. Check out the other content, people. I did do a video earlier where I kind of more focused on Koji Druby. Appreciative to you lot who watched that. And yeah, any Arsenal news, views and things, I'll get videos and live streams and all those sort of things out for you lot. So make sure your notification bells are on. Make sure you're following on the socials. Make sure you're having a great day and week, man. But for now, peace.
Yeah, against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's like. There's always just that active red flag defending. I think it's